Live na po.
Right.
Hi, good afternoon mga ka-PICSPro. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
May mga, hindi naman bagong muka, pero ano po, bagong miyembro ng ating Kwentuhang Cybersecurity Barkada. So today, we are lucky indeed because for this Friday, ang ating pong special feature for our Kwentuhang Cybersecurity will be none other than PICSPro Bacolod. So let's give a virtual round of applause for PICSPro Bacolod Chapter, headed by PICSPro Bacolod Chapter President, Mr. Alan Pacolan. Sir Alan.
Thank you po. Good afternoon po.
Hapon.
Mga
Ano po ba
ka-PICSPro,
magandang
good afternoon.
hapon sa Bacolod?
Okay lang po dito.
Ano po ang ating native greeting for magandang hapon sa Bacolod?
Mayong hapon sa inyo tanan.
Maayong hapon mga ka-PICSPro from Bacolod and Negros Region. Mr. Chair, looking good in
Kaya lang, nag-share pa ako.
Busy pa si Mr. Chair. Okay, ano ngayon? Here in Manila, it's a holiday because of FIBA. So good luck, Team Philippines. Kamusta po dyan sa Bacolod?
Okay talaga po. Okay lang.
Basta sa Bacolod, okay lang.
Oo.
Lagi
Okay lang.
busy.
Kumusta na pala yung mga graduates natin?
Hindi pa sila naka-meet up sa akin pero yung dalawa, yung IT students ko po sila. Kasi yung sa engineering, computer engineering sila eh.
Hindi mo pala lahat na ano yun, no?
Pero hopefully if ma-fit in yung schedule namin, I will introduce dito sa school namin yung graduates natin.
Oo. By the way, mayroon kaming cadetship program sa sa PLDT.
Yes pa.
Ano na ito? Employment, hindi na internship.
Thank you po. Hopefully marami pa tayong mabigyan ng
Oo, in the coming the coming years talaga, every year dapat makaproduce tayo.
yes
And
po.
our next batch, every program natin we need to improve, no? 19 yan sila lahat, no? 19?
18 po, 18 po.
18. Kasi yung isa nag-back out. So yun, sayang. Okay, magandang hapon. May hapon diha by Wendell.
Hi, Sir Wendell. Magandang hapon. VP Ruby, nasan ka na po? Magandang hapon sa'yo.
Sa pa man si Herald. Magandang hapon.
One of our avid
Hi,
viewers.
mga viewers.
Si Sir Herald. Opo.
Christine watching from Bacolod. Si Christine. How are you?
Hi, Christine.
Hi, Miss Len. Working in the background.
Si Len. Ian. Okay. So si Ian is interested sa cadetship. Ayun. So we usually deal with schools, no? Yung cadetship natin. Pero ito, hindi na graduating. Ito, mga fresh graduates na talaga. Pagka-internship. Pero dito sa PICSPro, pwede pa rin tayo sa mga graduating.
Hopefully, Mr. Chair, embed or sa OJT na schedule. Parang part sa curriculum.
Pero kasi ang lagi namin sinasabi diyan na the schools must adapt to the changes in the industry. Kasi lalo na dito sa cybersecurity, 400 hours, 300 hours OJT, walang natututunan ang estudyante. Sayang lang ang oras ng kumpanya at yung magtuturo. At sayang din ang oras nung parang nagiging compliance na lang yung OJT. 'Di ba? So they have to change the the tradition. Dapat, if possible, yung last semester ng last 3 months or last 4 months or even the last semester of the student, ibigay na nila doon sa internship, no, or OJT. For example, kasi sa PICSPro, our certified cybersecurity professional will improve, no? So itong first batch natin inabot ng 1 month, di ba? 1 month. Pero what we want to happen really there is original program is really 4 months. Kulang pa yon, no? Baka maximum of 5 months. So if we can do this in a larger scale, then we can have more students coming from different regions or different chapters and do this in 4 to 5 months with really rigid na training talaga. Hindi yung OJT. Hindi ka pagtitimplahin ng kape dito, no? Hindi ka paggagawin ng encoding ng mga papel, mag-stapler, program ng hindi. Talagang true blue cybersecurity, talaga to. Yun ang dadaanan mo. So that when you graduate, then yun nga, nangyari sa mga graduates natin, ang daming interested to hire them. Diba? Okay, I think, Arlene, it's already 5:03 and we have viewers na. So, do you want to introduce?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Since this is a special episode coming from our very own PICSPro Bacolod Chapter, I am going to give the honor of introducing our guest speaker for this episode to our PICSPro Bacolod officers. So, Mr. President, Mr. Alan, kindly do the honors po.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Arlene. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. VP John Ray, good afternoon, and to our speaker. Okay, and of course, good afternoon, Miss Desiree. Okay. We will introduce our speaker. Currently an IT instructor at Colegio San Agustin, Bacolod, and previously served as a software engineer of one of the startups that specialize in software for the stock market, blockchain, and medical applications. He possesses expertise in Node.js, Python, Solidity, and Laravel framework. Okay, and ensuring the delivery of high-quality software solutions. Okay. And also maintaining Linux servers, databases, and software architectures. Okay, good afternoon again. Our speaker for today is no other than Sir Jason B. Castellano.
Good afternoon, Sir Jason.
Hello, Sir. Good afternoon po.
Are you a PICSPro member na?
Yes.
All right.
PICSPro member.
Let's go.
Okay. Once again, good afternoon, especially Mr. Chair, Alan Redoble, Ms. Arlene, and our President, Mr. Alan Pangulan. Okay, so thank you for introduction, sir. Okay, so let me share my screen to start. Okay. Okay, so our discussion for today, PICSPro, is about the understanding the API, threat security, and best practices. Okay, so before we start, let me tell you a story. just very small story about what happened 4 years ago. Okay, when I first developing an application, I developed like this. Okay, this is a monolith application. It means that front end and back end are combined together. For most of us, first in programming, this is okay. This is okay architecture. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. And then after develop, then we suddenly decided to deploy this from development machine into our, of course, shared server. Okay. So after deploying shared server, our users see it, and then of course users are happy, and of course as developers are also happy. Okay, and me, I'm happy also. But of course, as a developer, in the first time I deployed the server, the application, there was a doubt. Okay, may doubt tayo na baka somebody hack our website, our system, okay, like that. And I was not wrong. Somebody tried to penetrate our system. Okay, so this somebody emailed us, email yung hacker sa amin, okay, na-dump namin yung database mo. If you want to recover your database, then you need to deal with us, okay, something like that. And sabi ng kasama ko is na-dump yung database. So sabi ko sarili ko, for sure, MySQL injection yun. I don't know where it's coming from o saan kasi malaki yung application eh. Okay, and that journey encouraged me to learn more about security, especially API security. Okay. And our happiness ender, okay, umuwi kami, fix namin yon, okay, so late at night, fix namin yung vulnerabilities nun, okay, sakit-sakit sa ulo. Actually, simple naman talaga yung error na yun eh. Dapat mo lang i-filter yung mga, i-sanitize mo lang yung mga special string doon sa post mo, tsaka pero nakadami ka sa application, so hindi namin yun na-sanitize masyado. And yun, mayroong part doon na na vulnerable siya. Eh, mga hacker kasi gumagamit ng automate software na so madali nila makita yung vulnerabilities doon. And yes, over, punta kami sa 3 stages ng programming, yung mata namin din naman, para ma-fix yung vulnerabilities ng time na yun. Okay, so that's the time I changed the architecture into API-based. Okay, so first, let's talk about what API is. In this topic, we talk about what API, what is the context of API, because when you're talking about API security, there are many domains of security now we can touch, okay, like network security, etc. Typical API deployment. So ito yung style kung paano i-deploy API para ma-secure siya, okay? And then of course, kailangan din gumating API gateway, web application firewall, at saka intrusion prevention. And then we talk about the OWSAP, yung top 10 na vulnerabilities ng system, at kung paano natin i-mitigate yon. Okay, so first let's talk about API. Okay, API is halimbawa, meron kang database dyan, this is logic, at saka marami kang front end. Okay? Like monolith application, you cannot extend or you cannot hindi mo siya sa ibang application sa front end kasi doon na yung application mo naka-embed na doon sa natin. Naka-embed na yun sa front end at saka back end natin. So ito, once meron kang API, pwede mo siyang i-scale. Okay, so ma-scale mo siya, may device ka, okay, sige, ito, naka-centralize yung data natin. Tsaka kung may front-end ka, Angular, React, okay, so may API ka, madali lang siyang makita. Madali mo lang kukunin yung data niya. Okay. And of course, halimbawa, meron lang tayong isang database doon, so okay na. Pero kung naka-microservices, siyempre marami tayong database dyan. Okay. So sa mga hindi makakaano ng API, meron ako example dito. Halimbawa, nag-visit ka ng Google Chrome. Okay? So, pag visit mo ng Google Chrome, right-click mo yon, inspect element, tsaka punta ka sa network, makita mo yon. Meron dong, there is a network tab. Okay? When you click the network tab, you can see the data. Okay? So that data will binabato dyan sa front end, sa taas. Okay? So pagbato sa taas ng mga data, yun, madi-display na yung content ng website. At guess what? Yung mga API nito, ginagamit din ito sa mobile nila. So same API siya. Google kasi is naka-ano na siya naka-stabilize na siya din, naka-scalable na siya. So when we are talking the context of API, we are touching some domain. Sinabi ko kanina. Okay? So halimbawa, isang domain nito is yung network security. Okay? And then yung application security, and of course the information security. Why we talk about the API security? Why is it we need to touch the domain of network security? Because it deals data flowing over the network. Okay, so API, network security, yung network security kasi natin may mga layers doon sa OSI model natin. Okay, so yung tinatouch na layer doon is nasa layer 3, 4, at saka yung API. Yung 3 natin API yun yung 4 natin is parang transport yun. So yun, nasa taas siya. So, if nasa level nasa level 7 yung API natin. And then we also touching the application security when we talk about the API. So why is it secure programming, right? So when you are developing application, API application, you need to secure your API. Okay? Kasi kahit gaano pa yung ng firewall mo, kahit gaano pa yung tibay ng security mo, if the coding is not secure, then it is possible to penetrate. Okay. And then information security. Okay, concerned with the protection of information. So, halimbawa, API is reusable. Okay, so sometimes as developer myself, nire-reuse ko yung API kahit na hindi naman kailangan sa page na yun, ganun lang content niya, nire-reuse ko na lang siya. So this is not a good practice because yung content na dun is yun lang kailangan, madami kang nilalagay sa resources mo. Okay, dinidisplay mo siya. Okay. So yung typical API deployment natin, first, I suggest to put a API gateway. Okay? So what is an API gateway? Ito yung service na intermediary between multiple microservices, okay, client. So halimbawa, example, nag-visit yung client natin dun sa my customers. Okay, so pag-visit na dun, API store, isang URL lang siya. Okay, so pag-visit niya, it will automatically pupunta dun sa API gateway. Okay, so akala ng client or akala sa front end natin, akala niya is that ano lang, isang URL lang yun. Pero sa likod yun is marami yung mga services. Like for example, customer service, marami siyang instance, kumbaga, at tumatakbo siya sa sari-saring port. Okay? So, customer or back-end customer service, store service, okay, o payment service. So, yung API gateway natin, siya yung nagpo-point kung saan niya kukunin ang mga data. Okay? So, same rin sa store. Kung gusto mong mag-visit ng store, API store lang. Okay? For HTTPS, API store. Pero sa backend, is you need to put a proxy server at doon siya ipo-point. And same rin sa payment service. Okay. So, very secure siya because hindi alam nung sa front end or yung architecture mis nakatago sa likod. And ito pa yung maganda sa API gateway. If meron kang services outside, pwede mo siyang gamitin. Hindi ka na kailangan gumamit ng URL na iba. Okay, like for example, sample.com API or other server, /other server, isang URL lang gamitin mo. It will point outside, API gateway yung bahala kung saan niya kukunin yung data na sa ibang server man dyan o sa iyong server. Okay? So, yun yung advantage ng API gateway. What if halimbawa, isa lang yung backend ko. Okay? So, hindi ko na kailangan ng API gateway. No, it's very advisable to have API gateway. Why? Example, you have a production server at it's running. Okay? Hindi mo na kailangan i-change yung URL na sa front end mo kasi nagbi-visit yung mga client doon eh. Okay, so what you will do sa gateway mo is you need to run another instance. Like sa production 2. Pag run mo another instance, you need to restart the API gateway and point it to your another instance na server. Okay? So hindi natin madi-istorbo yung users. Like that. So yung users gumagamit lang, hindi nila alam, nag-change sa yung backend. So smooth yung deployment natin. So yun yung advantage ng API gateway. So yung benefits natin, isa-isahin natin, content filtering. Yes, gateway kan content filtering. For example, ma-block yung access sa website. Halimbawa, gusto niyo i-test yung website niyo in live. Okay, naka-live kayo. Pero hindi niyo pwedeng i-test yan kasi naka-visit siyempre binivisit yung user eh. Halimbawa lang. And then, ang gawin nyo, sa API gateway, halimbawa gumagamit tayo ng Nginx yan, you can set, i-whitelist mo let us whitelist the IP address, okay, of your development team, and then the other user, the other visitor, it will redirect into the other row. So that is content filtering. Okay. And then next is request routing. Okay, incoming request, katulad ng kanina, isang URL lang yung isang domain lang yun, pero sa likod is saan-saan na kinukuha yung mga data. Okay, so nakatago yung infrastructure natin. Of course, caching. So, kinakasya yung get natin. Yung mga get method, palagi nire-request, pwede mo iset yun. I-cache mo halimbawa in 1 hour. Okay, flash naman, if the user edit or add something, manipulate the data, something like that, i-clear mo yung cache. Okay, so lagyan mo sa ng condition. And load balancing, this is a very usage to API gateway. So load balancing, if may nag-request sa'yo sa isang server mo, then may second request ka, ipapatong mo sa isang server. So para yung purpose ng load balancing is hindi mo overload yung server niya. Okay? So yun. Kung kapag malaki yung traffic ng server natin, so hindi siya ma-overload kasi maraming instance siya. Okay. Yun yung benefits ng API gateway. So, next I would suggest to have a web application firewall. Okay, this is yes, API gateway has a security, mo lang siya, gagawin mo lang siya security doon, magko-code ka doon, naka-Nginx script siya. But it's better to have only, we have a firewall sa web natin. So ini-inspect niya, specific siya yun. Ang pinakaiba ng firewall natin na mostly nakilala is like in network. Okay? Sa network natin, meron tayong firewall, pero specific yun sa mga layers sa OSI. Why web application firewall is nakafocus siya doon mismo sa HTTP natin. Okay? Sa HTTPS siya. So lahat ng mga malicious na mga URL is madi-detect agad sa web application firewall natin. So halimbawa ulit, nag-visit yung user natin, okay, sa API gateway. And then, pag-visit niya, before niya pupunta din sa API gateway, we need to put a web application firewall. Okay? At saka, doon siya, kapag malinis ng URL niya, then pupunta niyo sa API gateway natin. And blue-route niya kung saan yung kukunin ng data. Okay? So most of the application firewall na ginagamit is mostly talaga is Cloudflare. Okay? So bibili ka ng domain name mo, halimbawa sa Namecheap, ganun. So yung gawin mo dyan is yung name server niya, paano mo yun sa Cloudflare, sa Cloudflare na magsiset up. Wala ka nang, kung yung Namecheap mo, nakapoint yun, si Cloudflare na bahala dun. So siya na yung set up. At maganda lang kasi yung Cloudflare mo, naging domain name setup mo siya, at saka naging web application firewall mo pa. Okay? So, yun yung benefits ng application firewall. So, most implementing natin, benefits ito ay, halimbawa, nag-i-inspect siya ng traffic, okay, sa malicious request natin. So, kapag yung user nag-type ng mga MySQL injection doon, it will automatically go to your web application firewall. Okay? At automatically i-block niya yun, yung request na yun, yung mga malicious requests. Of course, but bot management. So, sa bot management natin, ang ibig sabihin nito ay there are two kinds of bot. Meron tayong bad bots, yung alam mo yun, nagsiscript ng mga website, siniscript yung content ng website mo, tapos ganun, yung mga bad bots yan. Mga good bots naman is yung, alam mo, Google crawler, right? So, yung Google crawler natin, mga good bots yan. So, ma-identify ng web application firewall dun kung sino yung bad or good, at yun yung bad, yun yung i-disregard niya. Okay. Next is geofencing. Okay. Just, we are using this kind of service. So, application na namin, sa WAF namin, halimbawa, hindi mo gusto yung lugar, Russia, example, sa Russia. Ayaw mo yung Russia nung bumivisit ang website mo. So, meron yung settings sa web application firewall mo na, okay, itong lugar na ito naka-blacklist to, hindi pwede maka-access sa site namin. Okay, parang gano'n. Yun yung benefits ng web application firewall. May specific place lang kung sino yung gusto mo lang maka-visit sa site mo. Kasi most of the attacks kasi nasa, example lang, sa Japan, mga ganun. So, block yun sila. And then, data leak prevention. Yes. When you're using web application firewall, meron siyang features na ganito. Halimbawa, store.com. Okay? At saka meron yung may API ka na images sa store.com. So, sa web application firewall mo, isi-set mo dyan yung store.com lang ang makaka-consume ng images. Kapag ginamit mo yun sa ibang website na application.com, like for example, yung image na yun hindi na magdi-display. Okay? Kasi ibang domain na yun eh. So, nabablock niyo yun kasi hindi na kilala. So, para magamit mo yung sa ibang domain, so i-register mo yung domain name dun sa web application firewall. Okay? So, secure siya. Kasi kapag may mga images ka dyan, i-review nila, gagamitin nilang URL sa ibang site. Kasi most of the images are hindi natin ina-authenticate eh. I-display lang agad dun sa ano. So, madali siyang gamitin, yung URL, tsaka i-display sa ibang site. So, piniprevent ng WAF natin yon. Okay. And then, just the implementation sa ano natin. So, intrusion prevention system. So, ito naman, nin-design ito para i-prevent yung mga malicious activity. Halimbawa, ito yung Chrome natin. Okay? Yung gateway. Tapos, meron tayong WAF. Yung WAF natin, ito yung nag-filter ng mga HTTP natin. So, nasa layer 7 siya. Okay? Pero, pag punta sa layer 7 is babangga siya dun sa IPS natin. So another layer of security siya, right? Before siya pupunta dun sa API gateway. So what if hindi siya dumaan dun sa WAF or hindi siya dumaan sa HTTP, like ibang attack, yung different attacks yung gagamitin ng user na yun. Halimbawa, dumaan din siya sa layer 7 natin. Layer 7, sorry. Layer 3, okay? Or layer 4. So WAF is not designed for that. Okay. So, intrusion prevention system or IPS can detect that attacks. Okay. So, pag na-detect na yun, okay, meron palang try na login sa SSH natin, meron nagtatry na login dun sa FTP natin, okay, that is not cover of WAF, then IPS or intrusion prevention system, you can block that IP address. Okay, before siya pumasok sa system. Okay. So those are some hardening that we need to implement in order to secure our API. Okay. So WAF, sa HTTP natin, we need to implement web application firewall. Okay, din sa system natin, we need to use the IPS, okay, intrusion prevention system. For other malicious attempt. Okay, so let's talk about some secure coding naman sa API. the OWACP is an open source project. So meaning open web siya, security, which is we can use or guide, okay, to secure our application. So it's non-profit organization, of course, and then meron siyang standards. Okay, kung ano bang top 10 ngayon na critical vulnerability sa web. Okay, so may mga ganun. So pwede natin yung gawing guide, okay, to secure our application. So you can search sa Google yung WhatsApp na yun para ma-check natin yung as guidelines lang for the security your system. So there are 10 actually. So there are 10 security, but for the interest of time, so I need to pick a few content. Okay, so first vulnerability top 10 of 2023 is of broken object level authorization. So ano to? API exposed endpoints handle object identifiers. Okay, either they can manipulate, access, unauthorized data. Okay. So halimbawa, example, meron kang account sa isang API natin. So yung accounts mo is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ganun, details. And when you enter it in your web browser, makikita yung mga resources dyan. Okay, Jana, Stenjo, account number niya. Okay. Tapos pinaglaruan mo. Okay, so you try to input another or incremental numbers or integer. Then pag enter mo, lumabas yung another account. Okay, so that is one of vulnerabilities. So that is one of the vulnerabilities that affect our system. Okay. Okay, so what are those mitigation in broken object authorization natin? So first is always verify natin yung request natin kapag ina-access yung kasi most of the API is not in one. Most of the API is naka-get siya, naka-public. Okay, I understand that because some of the website using doing that. Okay, so we need some permission before we can access the resources. And also we need to we need to implement the zero trust security model. So what is zero trust security model? So every time users view your resources or anything doing sa inyong website is you need to verify it to your backend. Okay, so counter checking talaga. Okay, kasi mayroong mga scenario na there was scenario with it yung backend ibigay yung lahat din data sa front end, saka sinstore yun sa local storage. Okay. So, yun. Tapos yung front end, hindi na siya nagre-request doon sa back end natin. Then, doon na lang siya, sa local storage na naglalaro ng kung admin ba yun, ganon. So, prone siya sa manipulation ng data or makahack siya talaga. Okay, next para ma-avoid natin is we need to use UID. Okay, I know for your database administrator out there, sometimes you argue that UID makes our database slow, right? Because mas mabilis yung integer, ganun. Tapos hindi siya ma-fragment doon. Mahati yung database nun. So, integer lang ang kagawa nun. So, kailangan natin gumamit ng UID to secure for the security purposes. Okay, integer is easily guessable. Okay, mag-guess mo siya, but UID is not. Okay. So, what if yung integer, yung database nyo, meron siyang millions of data na, and then naka-auto-increment siya lahat. Okay, so we have no choice. We need to So you need to encrypt the data. Okay, so itago mo yun. Halimbawa, nag-request ka ng yung ID mo dun is naka-integer siya. Okay? And then, naka-integer sa pag punta mo sa front end, i-encrypt mo yon. Yung integer na yun, gawin mong base 64, okay? Mga ganon. So, para yung front end is walang idea kung ano bang format yan, naka-integer ba siya o gano'n. Okay? Kasi pag binigyan mo ng idea yung client or kung sino, hindi natin alam kung sino yung mga client sa website na gumagamit eh. Kapag binigyan mo sila ng idea na naka-auto-increment or naka-integer, pwede niyang paglaruan yun. So, you need to encrypt. Okay? Lahat ng binabato mo sa front end, IDs, ano kasi yun reference natin yun. And then, pagbato naman yung front end dun sa back end natin, naka-encrypt yun, i-decrypt naman yung back end, ibaback yun sa integer. Okay? So yun yung para ma-secure yung natin. Okay, and ensure ticket logging, okay, monitoring of the so we need to use a logger. Malaking malaking big help talaga to sa mga developer kasi without logs, we are freeze. Okay? We cannot do anything. Hindi natin alam kung where is the problem, ano if it takes, because wala tayong monitoring walang logging. Okay, this is better to have logs. Okay, next, vulnerability is broken user authentication. Okay, so, pwede mo siyang i-bypass or i-compromise mo authentication process. This is possible kapag yung application logic mo is na hindi siya secure. Like for example, ito sa PHP ito. Ito yung kanyang code. So, secure login through session username, di ba? Kapag naka-monolith architecture ka, pwede pwede ka mag-session hijacking dyan. Okay? And then, ito. Okay? Yung bearer natin, napakasimple ng algorithm, at least 1, 2, 3, combination of ID and username, for example. Doon lang tayo kumukuha ng So, there's possibility na ma-bypass yun. Okay? At kapag nalaman ng hacker yun, pwede niyang, okay, kung ban ko pala yung ID tsaka so wala na. Madali nang ma-compromise yung system. Okay, yung yung mitigation natin dito is don't reinvent the wheel. Okay, so most of us, may exemption, kapag una pa, we always reinvent the wheel. Okay, yung authorization natin, halimbawa, meron akong username. So yung gusto kong security is i-rumble ko yung username, lagyan ko ng ganito. So mga ganong estilo ng mga ganong estilo ng mga encryption. So nire-reinvent natin yung wheel na meron naman palang na ma-secure pa. So don't reinvent. Use existing like GWT, use web token or passport from mga encryption natin token, and some authentication like Firebase and so on. Okay. And of course, para maiwasan natin yung broken authentication, we need to re-authenticate the user using two-factor authentication. So kapag nag-login siya, okay, kung nakalusot yun, hindi ito makalusot kasi nag-verify yung phone, second device. At yun, i-enter yung code dun sa website na yun, at dun sa mga login. So we can mitigate that vulnerabilities sa broken authentication natin. Of course, ito na naman, continuously monitor an notification attempt. Okay, set up alerts, suspicious activities. So this is more on logging. Okay, logs, monitor. Okay, at saka yung mga password reset na yan, di ba? Dapat mo-monitor yon. Okay, so next is the broken object property level. Okay, so what is the object property level? So ito naman yung different ito is yung user or yung attacker is can edit one object of your and then they can access everything. Like for example, sa front end natin, check nyo yung local storage. So yung front end developer is yung source of truth niya is yung talaga sa local storage na lang, di ba? Admin, ganun. If the attacker can see it sa local storage, if they can see it dun sa local storage, then it can change the admin to true. It possibility that yung UI ng admin or mati-change agad yun. Okay? It's because of that vulnerability. Okay, so how we can mitigate the broken object property level authorization? Okay, so first, we need only to pick specific object properties you want to return. Okay, so halimbawa, sinabi ko kanina is kung ano yung kailangan sa module na yun lang ibabato dun sa yung module. Example, nasa settings tayo, okay? Nasa settings tayo ng address. And then, so nasa settings tayo ng address. And then, suddenly, dahil hindi naman yung kailangan yung username, first name, last name, sometimes nire-roast natin yung API. And then, ilalagay natin dun sa address natin, sa address module. Yung username at password, hindi naman yung kailangan. Okay? Username, first name, last name, hindi naman yung kailangan dun sa address natin. So, we need to limit the resource na ibabato natin dun sa front end natin. Okay, so next is we need to implement, like I said before, is the zero trust security models. And don't make API public. Okay, so we need to some authorization, except if you have working in some, you need to share your API, right? But some public APIs now have an authorization first before you can accept it. For example, Facebook. Okay, Facebook API. So you need to Facebook is also a public, but you need to register first before they can use before you can use their API. Okay, so if possible, don't use some input to code variables or tinatawag natin mass assignment. Most of you as na-relate itong tinatawag natin mass assignment. Example, yung front end natin, nagsisend ng data dun papunta sa back-end. Yung back-end natin hindi niya na ino-authenticate yung mga properties or value na sinisend dun sa or before i-insert dun sa ating database. Okay, so it will automatically insert dun sa database. So that is a mass assignment. So we need to add some checking before we can insert it to the database.
All right. Thank you, Sir Jason, for your insight. It's very informative, no? So, tanong lang, Sir Jason, how do we secure our applications? Yes.
Thank you, Sir Alan. That's a beautiful question. Okay, so in order to secure our application, so first, I think we need to set up our application hardening. Like for example, we need to disable some unnecessary features, okay, in your application because we are not aware of the application na naka-open doon. And then of course, regularly updates your software kasi mostly vulnerabilities are exist because our software is not updated. Okay, and encrypt some sensitive data. Like what I said before is yung ID natin, even though naka-integer siya sa database mo, but don't tell the client or the front end that naka-integer talaga yung database mo. So you need to add some security, 𝐏64, ganun. And last is to secure, of course, you need to sanitize some inputs. Okay, mga inputs dyan, you need to sanitize it para hindi tayo ma-SQL injection, mga ganun.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Jason. From the audience, do we have any questions to Sir Jason?
Yes, Sir Alan, we have from Sir Darwin Teherero, for applications that were developed by different developers and using different development framework or programming language, what should be the minimum requirement that has to be considered for the development of APIs? Sige pa, ulitin ko, Sir Jason. For applications that were developed by different developers and using different development framework or programming language, what should be the minimum requirement? Minimum requirement daw po to be considered para makapag-develop tayo ng APIs.
Thank you. Minimum requirements to develop API. Actually, for me, as I experienced, there is no minimum requirements is magaan naman yung API di ba? Halimbawa, yung sinasabi nito different development framework language. So that kind of framework is all you need to do is you need to change the response. Okay, change the response into JSON format. Then you have an API. You get the data in a language like for example, gumagamit ka dyan ng Python or PHP or Java, anything language. You can get the API in the database. Pagkatapos, pagkuha mo dun, lagyan mo ng mga logic kung anong kailangan ng front end, then yung response niya, i-convert mo into JSON. Then, bato mo na din sa front end natin. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sir Jason. This question actually is coming from me, sir, because for today's episode, this is a different than the usual KC that we always do with our technology partners. And coming from the academe po, syempre iba rin ang perspective ng industries from the academe. So ito po bang pagtuturo ng API, ginagawa na po ba natin ito sa ating mga schools? Is this already embedded in our curriculum? And if so, sino lang po yung may access over the knowledge of knowing how API is being developed?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead lang, sir.
Yes, Sir Jason.
Go ahead, Sir Jason.
And also to Sir Alan, also if you can answer this also for us on behalf of your...
Actually, when we secure our application, no, we do teach, no, to our students, especially sa programming, that when they create application, security first, no. Okay, so because of in the web application, we have the SQL injection, database, especially form, mga forms, that is cross site scripting. So it's not only purely programming, no, but we have to embed, no, integrate security in our applications, because some programmers, they give or they just do the logic and they leave it to the system administrator to secure the application. But actually, there's a big part, no, for the programmer or the developer to integrate, no, or to secure the application in the production level. Okay.
But so in terms of alignment, kasi syempre we want to bridge the gap between the industry and the academe. So how how responsive is our curriculum in teaching concepts like this one, the API? So are you giving them real situation, real scenario, so that we would get a grasp kapag sila ay nagpunta na sa field that this is what you're going to deal with in terms of this particular concept? So hindi ba tayo nagkakaroon ng problema sa mga ganung part in aligning what they are teaching, what you are teaching in the academy, and what they are going to practice when they go ahead in the industry?
Yes po. For now, no, I believe there's ano pa, limited pa yung especially yung sa industry, no. Okay, that's why it's really important to partner to our industry tech partners or other companies, so that the academe will know, no, and kasi every 2 years we update our curriculum. Okay, so it's very important, no, that we have partners coming from the industry, no? And curriculum review is very important. That's why hopefully we can invite some tech partners, no? And of course even our chairman, no, which is very, very supportive. And right now, cybersecurity is ano, no, is in the current trends. So big help, no, coming from the industry, and also this the program of PICSPro is very helpful. Okay.
Actually, this is very commendable kasi knowing that the academe is already abreast with the technology, especially with API. At nagulat din ako when I actually locked in this topic with Bacolod Chapter that you actually are going to discuss about API. And this is something that, of course, we would like the academe mismo to know about and to teach our students. And it is so commendable of the Bacolod Chapter to take the first plunge with this particular topic. So thank you very much and congratulations po sa inyo. Thank you very much po
Thank you
kay Sir
po.
Jason for doing that. So Sir Alan, Sir Jason, and to the team Bacolod, before we proceed, we are also asking our audience if you have other questions about this topic. Feel free to ask us away. May oras pa po tayo. We have a few minutes more to spare. So for the meantime, Pres Alan, marami kayong fans sa Bacolod. Would you do the honors of giving the greetings para mabigyang hostisya naman natin ang kanilang panonood?
Mga ka-PICSPro sa Bacolod, thank you for watching, no. We have to support our own, no. Especially Sir Jason is from Bacolod, and we are the hosts. Thank you for supporting, no. And not only in Bacolod, no, and of course our neighboring town, and from far away from Batangas, no, we have visitors and also watching, no. Okay, and most of our viewers are students, no? IT, and also from accounting information system, okay? Because not actually is cybersecurity or any security related, no, it's not only for IT or IT course or courses. Okay. So again, good afternoon. My question po, ano po, coming from June Hindoy, no? Ano po sa OWASP top 10 ang pinakamahirap i-mitigate and why po? Okay, I think top 10, no? Sa top 10 kasi ina-update yan ng OWASP. yung mahirap dyan is cross-site scripting. Okay? So, yung mga scam or mga vulnerabilities, yan kasi na-take advantage ng mga bad actors natin. Yung they use cross-site, no? So, dapat I think it's better to integrate the top 10, no? The UAPs. As a developer, you have to follow the top 10, no? When you create the applications, no? As a guide. Right?
Okay, Press Alan, thank you. Ipasok ko lang po, I think this is a follow-up question coming from Sir Darwin. In the perspective of academe, specifically on offering programming courses, I have the same inquiry as Ma'am Arlene. Presence of standard in terms of security and API development. I don't think it's just about API development. I want to address this question even to Mr. Chair po. Can we create a standard for both the industry and the academe in cybersecurity concepts such as API?
What was the question? Standard on?
Sir, can we create a particular standard in terms of teaching it in the academe and practicing it in the industry for cybersecurity concepts po such as the API? Is it possible po ba?
Well, definitely it's possible to create a standard. The question is who's supposed to lead in creating the standard, right? If you are with the academe, you always look at DepEd or CHED, or if you are in a school where you have your own charter, then who's going to lead, right? Or the ICT maybe, etc. But to create a standard is not an issue. But to make it a standard, only one has to take the lead. Because if many are leading and creating their own standards, then that is not a standard. Now the question is who's going to lead that? Who's going to take the lead on that?
Now, autonomous software, yes sir. Yes sir.
In my experience, OWASP, all the standards in security on APIs, security on both on the user end and on the back end, it's not enough. You know, the enemies are even better in programming,
Yes.
compared to us.
Yes po.
Right?
They are one step ahead.
Actually, probably they are more than one steps ahead. No? So I always, for the longest time, advise to, when you do programming, never, especially on cybersecurity aspect, never get comfortable with your own perspective. You always tell yourself that your enemy is better than you, because that is the truth. Okay? So hardening your API, hardening your developed software helps a lot. Although it's not 100%, you need more than that. Okay, when you deploy, that's a different ballgame. When you expose your API to the internet, you expose to your users, it becomes a different environment. It becomes a different ballgame. Or shall we say, it becomes a hostile environment wherein your API can be subjected to debugging, can be subjected to source code or code review, behavior review, you know, just to find faults and bypass what you have incorporated in your program, or in this case in your API. So you put, it's good that it was mentioned by Jason that about WAF, no, web application firewall, but you have to be very careful because all web applications, they're not born equal. Even the brand mentioned by Jason, no? If you're going to search experiences and incidents involving this that product. There were a lot of right. So again, because our enemies, they also need to study the countermeasures. And unlike before, more than 20 years ago, the threat actors did not have access to all these countermeasures. But today, they can also buy. If we can buy, they can buy. If we can subscribe, they can subscribe. And they subscribe for a different purpose, to find flaws, to find the entry point, right? So we can never be confident. You can never be confident. And this is the reason why we see a lot of victims, especially on the web application layer attacks, because they thought that hardening, that's okay. Putting a WAF, okay, that's okay. Putting an IPS, your IPS is on the network layer, the attack is on the web layer, then your IPS is no good, right? So yes, and I'd like to say I am very happy to see coming from Bacolod Chapter this kind of presentation. No,
Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
it's good to know that this practice is being discussed in Bacolod or Bacolod Chapter or in the Negros area,
Yes.
because these are the kinds of education that we need. It's basic, but it is necessary, very, very necessary, and that's where we start. That's where we all start. So thank you, Prof. Jason, and congratulations for that very informative presentation.
Thank you po, Mr. Pes.
Thank you, Team Bacolod. Actually, may mga tanong pa, Mr. Chair. Siguro we'll entertain just one. And then hopefully we will, of course, this will be the last of Bacolod for our Kwentuhang Cybersecurity. So, sir, ito na lang siguro. What would be the difference of the blue, red, purple team in layman's term? So, mabilisan lang po.
Yes, Miss Arlene again.
Again.
Ay, nakamute ka po, nakamute.
Okay. Ano raw po ang difference ng blue, red, and purple team in cybersecurity? This is medyo ano na po sa atin, pero siguro can we do it in passing, or I guess we'll have another episode for this one po. Are tools enough for the API scanning? Yun na lang po. Are tools enough for the API scanning? Can we make this a short answer na lang din po for this?
Okay, so API scanning po, meron pa tayong mga tools dyan na ginagamit. Like halimbawa, kapag we are nagpa-pulse testing tayo, gamit tayo ng worksuit, na ganun. Okay, and for functional naman, sa API scanning, obviously in development, we are using Postman. But those are only for the scanning purposes. The security of the system or is based on the user talaga. Okay, and of course, not only the user, but also how to program or the way you program it. Okay, kasi sometimes most of mga user is na-hack sila because of social engineer sila, ganun. So wala tayong magawa doon. So kahit gaano pa secure system, kapag na-trick sila ng ganun, so talagang ma-access yung nila, yung information nila. So as user, dito sa PICSPro, we educate them also, and we train them to more secure, okay, sa kanilang ginagawa sa online.
Okay, thank you, Sir Jason. Sir Paolo Tabuhara, we will make a different KC for this one para mas madali natin siyang at mas malaliman pa natin siyang ma-explain about those teams, cybersecurity teams. And for that, congratulations once again to Team Bacolod. Before we wrap up this episode, any last message po for our viewers?
Thank you for watching cybersecurity, Kwentuhang Cybersecurity. Okay, so hopefully maraming kayong natutunan, and I would like to acknowledge
Nadula ka. Nakamute ka, sir.
Hindi, tagtirik yata si ano.
Si Sir Jason.
Yung signal niya nawala. Okay.
Why don't you go ahead, Press Alan? Pag bumalik na lang po siguro si Sir Jason.
Again, no, thank you for giving us the opportunity, no. Pasensya na po, konting preparation lang kasi busy kami dito sa Bacolod. Alam mo naman yung teachers. Maraming ginagawa, but still we make it with the ever supportive nationals led by our chairman Angel Redoble, and also the Bacolod team, no. Okay, so thank you, and also to you, Miss Arlene. Okay. To our viewers, thank you for watching us every Friday. Don't forget, KC, Kwentuhang Cybersecurity.
Sir Chair?
Ako na ba? Well,
Yes, sir.
nasabi ko na kanina, no? So congratulations to Bacolod Chapter. This type of lecture and presentation shared by a chapter that's very far from Metro Manila. Before, we were always seeing someone from Metro Manila doing this kind of lecture, but today it's the other way around. It's a very good, to me, indicator of a growing in terms of knowledge and understanding in cybersecurity on the areas out away from Metro Manila, and we hope to see more of this kind. And we hope to, and in November we hope to also share to Bacolod Chapter to reinforce, no, this knowledge that has been shared, to reinforce that there are more that can be done to ensure the higher level of security. So with your busy schedule, Press Alan and everyone there, John Ray and Prof. Jason, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge on API security.
Thank you po, Mr.
Arlene.
Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, thank you to Team Bacolod, to Sir Jason. Nawala lang po siya, pero definitely, hindi to ang huling engagement natin sa kanya. And of course, you will be regularly watching Team Bacolod for our next PICSPro Kwentuhang Cybersecurity in the coming days. So, Press Alan, since may mantra tayo dito, ready ka na ba?
Baka,
Ready ka na, because this is the baptism of fire for us. So,
Okay.
it's already a Friday. Sa
Okay.
iba, magpapahinga na, pero sa atin, hindi
dahil sa cybersecurity, happy lang, walang
weekend.
Thank you
Okay.
po.
Thank you.
Good afternoon,
Ingat kayo
everyone.
dyan. Ingat kayo. Ingat.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
God bless.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bacolod.
Mr.
Thank you,
Chair.
Ms. Len.
Thank